Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on our third day of our Tool U virtual sessions. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get on the line, make sure you're muted before we start the presentation. So sit back, relax, and we'll get going here very shortly. We'll wipe down everything to make sure we're clean. No lapses. All right, again, thank you for joining us. My name is Scott Janssen. I am with Rhino Tool House. I am the Material Handling Product Manager for all territories covered by Rhino Tool House. With that, Rhino Tool House is here to bring you the most innovative products on the market. Today we're here to share that, but where you can get these products is right here at Rhino Tool House. We cover over half of the nation with approximately 50 salespeople that are supported by people like myself, and we have application engineers across the country. So with that, we just want to say please keep the questions in the chat and we'll address those at the end. And again, thank you for joining us. Just a quick reminder, we're doing the virtual session because of the COVID-19 virus. Again, as the CDC recommends, please wash your hands as much as possible. Wear gloves if you need to work your hands. Remember the 6 foot social distancing recommendation. Use disinfectant when you can, like I just did here. And lastly, stay home when you can, especially if you're feeling any symptoms. So the first thing I wanted to start with was a success story, and we're going to send a video out after this of a before and after success story with the G-Force product. The G-Force was implemented at a local snowblower manufacturer here in Wisconsin, where an operator was lifting. It was a 50-pound part, approximately, about 500 to 600 times a day, depending on the volume. We're able to implement the G-Force product line into that application, and we were able to keep up with the production. If you can imagine, 500 to 600 parts in a day is going to be about that 15-second cycle time. To be able to do that with this lift assist that you're going to witness here is incredible. And that video, again, will show you before what they were doing and the after. So I'm going to start with what you see in front of me. We have 2 different styles of G-Force product. The first one is what we would have is our rail mounted. This is the G-Force series. And then you have your articulated arm mounted one here, which is called the Easy Arm. It's the same technology motor. It's integrated into an articulated arm depending on what you need. Some applications, the articulated arm is better. In some applications, the underhung mount is better. So first I'm going to talk about capacities and the speed of those. So with the G-Force, you can purchase in capacities of 165 pounds, 330 pounds, 660 pounds, or 1,320 pounds. The speeds for each of those are 200 feet per minute for the 165 pound, 100 for the 330, 50 feet per minute with the 660, and 25 with the 1320. Now it differs a little bit on the Easy Arm product. We do not have a 1,320 pound model Easy Arm. So there's only easy arms in the 165, 330, and 660, and those are all floor mounted. You can also purchase a underhung in the 165-pound model only. So if you wanted to mount the easy arm product from a rail system, we could do that as well. With that, I'm going to start into some of the features. The first thing that you'll notice on both these units is we have what's coming down here. This is the wire rope, which is our lifting mechanism. The black coil hose is the communication line, and then the blue is our air line. One of the great features of whether it's the G-Force or the Easy Arm is this G360 swivel that you see here. What the G360 swivel does for me is in many of these lift assists, we got to make sure that we put stops, rotation stops on there so that we don't damage any of our communication or airlines. With this 360 swivel, I can swivel this 360 degrees just like it states, and I do not damage any cables. There's a slip ring and a rotary coupling in there that prevent those from tangling up. The next thing I'm going to start talking about is the Q series. So there's two different series of G-Force. There's a Q series, which is more of our introductory line, and then we have our IQ series. So this would be more of your IQ when you add a custom end effector to it. The Q series is when you don't have the need for that, but you still would like the features of the G-Force. So the first thing is there's 7 different style handles available. The first one here is our inline handle, which you can see. So this handle is mounted directly in line with our lifting cable. This is all their handles are variable speed. So the harder I push on here, the faster it's going to go. So if I push a little, it's going to go slowly. So this inline handle can be purchased in this configuration, or you can purchase it as a remote mount. So if you wanted to mount it, say on a fixture such as this. Put that down. The next handle I want to talk about is the pendant handle. So this pendant handle can be, again, mounted in 2 different configurations. We can suspend it. Say you want to suspend it from a hook here. It's at a constant height for the operator. Or using a similar G360 swivel, we could mount it on a fixture, like so. And that would be your up and down. The third one I want to talk about is the inline force sensing handle. I don't have one here, but the inline force sensing handle is pretty similar to this one. The difference is that the length of it is 24 or 36 inches long. So it's great for like a hand over hand lowering into say a Gaylord or something of that nature to pick out parts. And then you can do hand over hand when you bring it back up. And then the last one, that one can be purchased in line or again as a remote. The last one is the force sensing hub, which you see here. The force sensing hub is you have your 2 shaft collars here. Anything, connected to this this load cell located here will sense a force. As I push up, it goes up. As I push down, it goes down. And again, these are all variable speeds. So if I push up hard, it goes faster in whatever direction. So let me set that down. So we got through the 7 different handles. The next thing I want to do is go through a little bit of programming. Nothing major, but everything is programmable through the face here of the unit. So and all of the programming interface, they all have 2 buttons. These 2 buttons here, 2 buttons on here. They all work identically, and all the menus are the same relative to the Q or the IQ. So the first thing we're going to talk about is virtual limit. So for example, if I wanted to set a lower limit so that this operator could never hit the floor with the part, I could easily go into my limits menu, and I'll set a lower limit. So that's my lower limit right now. I've just set that. So now if I try to set this part on the ground, it's going to stop me before I get there. I can't go any lower. And limits, we have one set with the Q, where you can do a lower limit, a lower slowdown, upper resume, upper slowdown, and an upper limit. So there's 5 different ones that you can do. Next feature I want to talk about is float mode. So float mode is a great feature, especially if we're trying to align parts up and you want to put both hands on a part. All you have to do is once you've picked up the part and you see that it, here it says it's 78 pounds is what's loaded on here. I'm going to hit the float mode. It's going to record data. The blue light's going to turn on and it's going to say I'm in float mode. Now I can put my hands right on the part and I can float this part up and down. Whoops, I hit the upper limit. So again, if you wanted to put this part into a fixture of some sort, that would be a great, or the ones I like an axle assembly. If I have a hub and I'm trying to line up the bearings to push it onto the spindle, is another great application for it. Speed setting is available on all these within, again, we talked about 200 feet per minute down to 25 feet per minute, depending on the model that you're using. The speed setting is available in 10% increments. So right now I have this set at 100% and it's moving quite fast for me. If I wanted to change that and not allow the operator to go any faster, then let's go to speed menu. I'm going to take it down to 50%. So once that, 60% actually is what I said. So now you can see the unit is moving much slower than it was before. So that is a great feature if you want to limit how fast an operator can go. Then we have an overload limit. So if you want to also limit how much weight you want the operator to pick up. So if there's always, the part only that you're picking up is only 50 pounds, and you buy the 165 pound model, you don't want to overload or pick too much up, then we can put an overload limit on there and prevent them. So for example, if it's 50, maybe we set it to 60 or 70 pounds of limiting them. And then I'm just gonna erase the virtual limit quick so I can show you the slack sensor. So one of the great features of this is, especially when you're first picking up a part, if you have too much slack in your chain, as you pick the part up, it tends to jostle that part around. So this has a slack sensor in it. So when I put this part down, now assuming that there's no weight on the handle anymore, it's not going to allow me to go down any further because that slack sensor is engaged. Obviously, you want to be able to go down without a part on there, but not if I hit a table or something like that, I don't want to go down any further. So those are, it's in general the Q series of G-force. If you have an application where you really like one of those features, you think it would work well, that's great. If you need a little bit more is when we step up into the IQ features. So this is an IQ custom lifting device that we supplied with the Easy Arm product to one of our customers. This is our demo unit, so we take this to shows. If you want to see it in person, feel how easy it is to move, that would be great. Come and see us here in New Berlin, or we can at one of our shows. So a couple features of this. The first one I'm going to point out, and this is probably the main reason why people go to the IQ series, is the anti-drop mode. So anti-drop is a feature that does not allow the signal from the unclamp levers to pass through to the solenoid, which controls the cylinders here, until it sees that the weight has been supported. So the weight of the part has been supported. So I can hit both these buttons. See now when I set it down, now I can hit the button, and you see that the clamps turn off. Also, you notice that the lights changed. Now, in this application, it's pretty simple to see when we're clamped and unclamped, but I have run across applications where it's not. It's not inherently known when I'm clamped and when I'm not clamped. So I've added these lights to many of the projects that we've done. Makes it a really simple and easy. Yes, I'm clamped. No, I'm not clamped. Actually, I want to show you one more feature. So if I pick this up, you can also see that I cannot clamp it until it sees the part. So I have a part proximity sensor. Whoopsies. Right here. Once that proximity sensor turns on, now I can go ahead and clamp the part up. So that's another safety feature that we use. Dual virtual limits is the next one I'm going to go into. So let me set this here quickly. Actually, let's go up a little bit higher. So quickly on let me set this down. Oh, that was a limit, not the slowdown that I meant to do. Okay. Now we got it. All right. So I'm going to ostensibly imagine an application, which this one was actually for. We have a part here, and I have a pallet somewhere else. I'm picking off of that pallet, and I'm loading onto a conveyor. So, for example, I have a couple handlebars here. One if I'm picking a part from say this height, and one if I'm picking a part from much lower. The second, when we talked about virtual limits, I also have a dual virtual limit with this. That's just through the proximity sensor here, I'm able to change it from one to the other. And what that does for you is if I have a constant height where I'm setting on this conveyor, for example, when I come to that conveyor, it automatically slows me down. And so I can go really fast, and it slows me down immediately so that I make a nice place to it. The benefit of dual virtual limits is now that I unclamp it and I go over to my pallet, let's say over here, I don't want me to slow down when I go to get another part. So you can see I have full speed now again, that I'm not in the clamp condition. Just put this back in here. Great. The next one I wanted to show you quickly is hardware operator presence sensor, or as they call it, OPS. So this is a pretty simple. I use this as a safety feature so that the operator knows when I pull this, I'm ready to go. It changes it. It enables my lifting. So if I pick this up, for example, and I just push down, up and down on this, it's not moving. The operator needs to pull this before it'll allow movement. I find that to be a great feature that a lot of people have really liked with these units. A couple other standard ones that are not on this particular unit is auto home. Auto home is say for instance, you wanted a lift device to go to a constant height after a button push. We can set that up pretty easily. It's a safe, they do it safely, where if it sees anything more than what's already on it, so if it's loaded or unloaded more, it'll stop that auto home. And the second one is a dual float. So again, similar to the, when we saw the float mode, we can do that dual as far as when I have a part and when I don't have a part, it automatically switches between those two weights. A dual float is great for when you have a constant weight of a part. And then lastly, I just wanted to go through the custom programming is available. For example, at a motorcycle manufacturer, they wanted an output of when a 24-volt output to go to their line controller when float mode was turned on. So that was a pretty simple custom program to do, and it's available. If there's a feature that is not currently available, Gorbel is definitely willing to help us with that. And then did want to point out on Monday, if you could join us, Colin Seibert and Ryan Mashlin will be here again. They were here yesterday. And they're going to go through a product called LGS, which is an augmented reality worker guidance system. And actually, that wasn't the last thing. The last thing is, save the best for last here. So we have today, as our giveaway, is a 170-piece crescent set. So we will announce the winner of that, but this is a great set. You can find these here right at Rhino Toolhouse as well. So Ari, if you could help me out and let me know what questions people might have had, or if I did such a good job that everybody is.
Can you lock out the unit from operators making settings changes?
So can we lock out the unit from operators changing settings? So yes, you can. That is a feature that is available, and it's as simple as you press both these buttons for 5 seconds. It'll tell you lockout check, blink at you 3 times, and then the unit will be locked out. And then to unlock it, you do the same thing. It's mostly to prevent accidental changes. One of the big things I see is they hit the wrong button when they're going into float mode. So.
Do they lock on a power shutdown? Also, do they retain settings upon a power shutdown?
Yes. So, what's that? Sorry. Does it lock on a power shutdown, and does it retain settings on a power shutdown? Yes. So should you lose air or electricity, and here I can shut off the electricity to the unit, it's not going to drop the part. It's locked in place, and it's holding the part properly. But the settings are also maintained. I could and either, whether it's a full power or an e-stop, will both work.
Can you talk to an MES system, enable and disable the hoist from worker instruction?
You could, sorry, can you talk with an MES system or a manufacturing execution software to enable or disable the hoist? And theoretically, you could use this operator presence sensor. That's just a 24-volt input. So if you had an MES system, talk with a PLC that could send a 24-volt input, yes, you could enable or disable your hoist currently.
When it comes to service, how is that handled?
When it comes to service, how is that handled? So service can be done in a number of ways. We can come out with our service team and service you right at your location. If there's something simple like a cable needs to be replaced or troubleshooting, you could send the unit here and we could look at it here, or Gorbel has a service center in New York.
You pick up various parts that all weigh different amounts.
Can you pick up various parts that all weigh different amounts? And the answer to that is yes. So as long as the part is underneath the weight, the capacity of the hoist. So if you had, I mean, I could pick up this engine block. I don't know where I'm going to strap it. Never mind. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, we can pick up all different weights, again, as long as it's underneath the capacity of the hoist. So if you had a multiple, in this case, it was one part all the time, which makes the fixture easy. But if you had multiple, like say, size of bar stock, and you had an OD grab on there, as long as it weighed less than the specified capacity of the unit, the handlebar will act and move as fast as you want it to. It'll feel the same regardless of the weight.
Are you able to integrate vacuum or magnetic lifting devices?
Are we able to integrate vacuum or magnetic lifting devices? And the answer to that is yes, we are. So this is obviously a mechanical clamp style tool. A vacuum tool is going to be, the controls are very similar. We're just going to go through a vacuum generator to cups, vacuum cups, or on magnets, we're going to use a pneumatic magnet. And again, we're going to actuate that based on a clamp signal. So yes, those are control packages very similar between all of them. It's just a matter of what is the best gripping method for your part. Is it mechanical? Is it vacuum? Is it magnet?
What is the pricing range of these G-force systems?
G-force system price range varies pretty greatly, and depending on whether it's the Q, IQ, capacity, reach of your hoist, and what do you, if you buy a hoist system with it, or if you're going with the easy arm. So I tend not to like to throw out pricing at this point before seeing the actual application, but
What is the hoist rating, H rating for the G-force compared to typical electric chain force?
so the G-force, sorry, what is the H rating for the G-force? And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the H rating, the H rating is from H1 to H5. And it depends on, the rating is for how long a motor can operate over an hour, a period of an hour without overheating. So H1 is something like 12 minutes. H5 is all 60 of those minutes that it can operate. And the G-forces are all rated as H5 units, so you can run this continuously throughout your application, or your operation rather.
How does the lifting speed of a G-force compare to electric hoist?
How does the lifting speed of a G-force compare to an electric hoist? So the G-force on the 165-pound model is up to 200 feet per second, or feet per minute, sorry. Like I said before, a 250-pound hoist, you're probably going to get in that 60, maybe 70 feet per minute range. So it's quite fast. It's about twice as fast, I would say, at least twice as fast on the 165. And again, you can also adjust those speeds as necessary. Wait for another 30 seconds here, see if anything else comes in. All right. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today. And all the products that you saw here today can be sourced right through Rhino Toolhouse. And again, we cover over half the country, from the East Coast all the way out to the Dakotas, down to Texas. We have engineers, sales engineers and application engineers ready and willing to help you out with your application. So give us a call if you need a lift assist. Thank you.